Welcome to my tutorial on some basic hand sewing stitches. These are the ones I personally use regularly in my own work. Here's my beautiful little sample I made in school to show off the different types. To begin your hand sewing journey, you'll need some needles, thread, a thimble, and something to cut thread. We're going to start with a basting stitch. This is one of the easiest stitches. It's made by pushing your needle in a manageable distance before pulling it back out of the fabric, moving from right to left. When ending a basting stitch, you can make 2 small crisscrossing stitches. This will be held in place by tension, and it's way easier to take out than a knot. Basting is used to temporarily hold together 2 or more pieces of fabric. It's an important step before machine sewing layers together to ensure accuracy. Diagonal basting is done upright, pushing your needle through the fabric perpendicular to the direction you're heading. This creates a diagonal pattern on the front and parallel lines on the back. This form of basting is usually used in tailoring to hold together multiple layers of fabric during construction and pressing. The shorter the stitch length, the more stable the layers can be, and this is true for all types of basting. A catch stitch is next. It's created left to right, opposite of the usual line of stitching, and you dip your needle in and out of the fabric right to left, and then alternate between 2 parallel lines. This creates a lovely little zigzag pattern with small pricks on the other side of the fabric. Just like any other stitch, these can all vary in length depending on your need. This is the go-to stitch for hemming dress pants or skirts, anything that needs to be held but also needs to allow movement to occur. The bottom line of stitches will be on the hem, while the top line will be what you're sewing it to. For example, the hem of your dress pants to the main pant leg. Just remember, when you prick your needle into the single layer, it's going to be visible on the good side of the fabric, so just make sure your stitch is as small as possible. You can also hide this stitch by doing what's called a blind catch stitch. This is achieved by folding your hem down slightly and sewing between the 2 layers. After releasing the fold, the stitch should sit just inside, effectively hiding it from view. It also prevents the thread from getting snagged. I'd recommend using this type of stitch for securing hems on heavier fabrics. Next up is a back stitch. It's created by pushing the needle through all your layers of fabric and then back in behind where you just came up, hence the name back stitch. You'll know you're doing it right when you have a solid line of thread on the back of your fabric. Back stitching is a strong stitch often seen in garment construction before the invention of the sewing machine. It's usually even in length with very little space in between. It should closely resemble a line of stitching you'd get from a sewing machine. A half back stitch is actually what I demonstrated first, while a prick stitch is more decorative, being tiny little back stitches that are spaced farther apart. Moving on to a slip stitch, this is used to attach a folded piece of fabric to a flat piece. It gets its name from the fact that you have to slip the needle into the folded piece to travel forward. Then you only prick the flat piece before continuing. Ideally, the stitch should be virtually invisible, making it one of the harder stitches to master. Securing a stitch is easily done by doing a small stitch and passing your needle twice through the loop you've made before pulling it tight. Next up, my personal favorite, the whip stitch. It's made by sewing diagonally up and around 2 pieces that you'd like to sew together. This is a strong and versatile stitch. It can be used on its own to prevent fraying on fabric edges or just to bring two pieces together, like the slip stitch but visible. I regularly use it to sew on various trims and applique. And yeah, those are the stitches I use most often. I hope this helped, and remember, practice makes perfect. I'll see you in the next one.